the exploration of psychoanalysis. Before psychoanalysis is explained, we need to talk about the idea of film criticism. Film criticism is a technique used to explore a film in a deeper meaning, as well as the technical side of the film. During the process of film criticism, if you, the watcher, were trying to evaluate a movie, you will need to take a few steps before you would do so. You need to look at the movie from an unbiased perspective and evaluate your own thoughts as well as its deeper meanings. You could decide to only look at the cinematography and writing for the film, or you could choose to do it on an actual story of the film. But the best way to do so is to consider every part of the film and critique every part of it and examine how every other part of it connects. There are 5 different forms of film theory, and they are as follow. These are just 5 different forms of film theory, and they are as follows: feminist film theory, Marxist film theory, psychoanalytic film theory, queer film theory, and auteur film theory. Feminist film theory is a term coined by Laura Mulvey in an essay released in 1975 titled Visual Pleasures and Narrative Cinema. The idea of feminist film theory is to look at how a filmmaker may sexualize a female character without any care or regard for their subjectivity. This form of film theory is also the originator of the term the male gaze, as well as a similar terminology called the female gaze. Marxist film theory is a film lens that is based on a representation of class struggles in film as well as the structures of power in the world. A good way this lens is used in films where the protagonist is fighting for the people's needs against the power of those who are in control. Take films like Hunger Games or They Live. Both of these films have class systems in which the rich and powerful are trying to suppress or keep the poor in line for their own personal gain. Psychoanalysis was the concept forged by Sigmund Freud, an Austrian neurologist who was born in 1856. The concept of psychoanalysis acts as an explanation of sorts for the mentality of the human mind and subconscious mind. Psychoanalysis itself tries to bring the unconscious thoughts of the human mind into the conscious mind. The theory itself tries to investigate the idea of character's psyche, so it would investigate desires, both conscious and unconscious, as well as how they traverse through the narrative. Queer film theory is the use of emphasizing the subject of queer topics or subjects in matters in films. Themes like gender identity or sexual orientation are explored in the lenses as a more recent film theory compared to others. The topic can be used to look at the idea of the character's sexuality in film and how they affect them in their behaviors. A character could have viewpoints that may affect their own viewpoints based on their sexuality or their fear of their own sexuality. The final type of film theory is auteur film theory. This theory assumes that the director is the one with the primary artistic vision. The belief is that their vision, themes, and ideas, dialogue, or anything in the film is made and controlled by them completely, and if these conditions can be met, these can end up leading to the best types of films and some with the most artistic integrity. These notes were taken and were based on a forum by the name of Film Theory Guide, 5 Types of Film Theory, released in 2025 by Masterclass Online. The idea of the subconscious mind also was brought to the forefront of people's minds because of Freud. Freud believed that the subconscious mind was a large contributor to actions, mindsets, and dreams. Our subconscious can be affected by lots of things that we may not register, or even events that we may suppress and forget still linger in the subconscious mind and affect us in ways that we do not address. Freud concluded that certain painful experiences were repressed or held back from conscious awareness. Freud noted that in the majority of the patients seen during the early practices, the events most frequently repressed were concerned with disturbing sexual experiences. This is taken from the editors of Encyclopedia Britannica in 2020. Psychoanalysis Britannica was the site. Take, for example, childhood trauma. Now, a good question would be, why is psychoanalysis used in film? Well, the answer to said question is quite simple. It allows us to investigate the layers that these characters have. The next form of film theory would be the male gaze. Deriving from feminist film theory, the male gaze was conjured up by Laura Mulvey. The male gaze itself revolves around the sexualization of women from the gaze of a male protagonist. It's the hypersexualization that a man may conjure up in their mind. Take any of the James Bond films, mostly the Roger Moore or Sean Connery films. These films and almost all of their titles are sexual in nature. Take Octopussy, for example. The hypersexualization leads to a consensus and a stigma that affects all women, construing them to be viewed as mere objects for desire and pleasure. Another side to this is the female gaze. The female gaze is similar to the male gaze. The female gaze is used instead in the perspective of a female protagonist and the views that they have for characters around them. In conjunction with the male gaze, the female gaze instead focuses on empathizing with the characters presented to them. They do not create an idea of the person or expect them to fall into an archetype that was made for them. Instead, they try and view the person as who they really are, instead of seeing them as seeing a man as a strong, stoic, non-emotional being. They see them as they really are and do not try to squish them into this box of expectations. Finally, we have apparatus theory. Apparatus theory itself follows the idea that films we watch fuel and influence our thoughts while we watch them. The idea of films or the filmmaker's belief are subtly being put onto us come from Jean-Louis Beardy and a few other film theorists. The basic idea of film apparatus theory is that we watch a film, the basic idea of apparatus film theory is that the more we watch a film, the more we may agree with an understanding of the worldviews that are highlighted in the film. The idea of layman's terms, movies and TV are not just entertainment, but tools that shape how we think and see the world. It suggests that when you watch a film, you're not just watching a story, you're also being influenced by the underlying ideas and beliefs that film carries. This is a quote from Jason Hallerman in 2024 in a journal known as What is Film Theory? No Film School is where it was published. We can get this idea from a few examples. Take a film like Hacksaw Ridge, for example. In this world, our main character believes that he should not bear arms while entering a battlefield, which is his right. Another example would be films made for propaganda. Films like Nazi propaganda films made by Joseph Goebbels. The films themselves were made to influence German people into developing their hatred for the Jews, as well as the Allied forces that opposed Germany. America is even guilty of this by creating films that highlight Vietnamese and Japanese people in stereotypical racist fashions that would influence the American people into bearing a hatred not only for the army that they were against, but the entire country's people. An interesting part about the apparatus lens is how it can be different from person to person. Anyone who has watched a film has their own personal thoughts about the plot. Like, if we take a look at a movie like Jaws, we can see how it affected the audience in such a visceral way. After this film had premiered, it created a wide-scale type of psychosis in which viewers had grown an irrational fear and hatred for sharks and the ocean. The film was even partially to blame for the rapid murder of sharks. This was an effect from people's own perceptions of the film, known as the Jaws effect. This was sourced from the Jaws effect as a term coined by Dr. Christopher Neff. This can be found on Shark Sophie, 45 years of the Jaws effect on Shark Speak. Now, the two lenses that I have chosen for my two movies are feminist film theory as well as the apparatus theory. For the film I've chosen, it is Good Will Hunting. The film holds a special place in my heart, and I want to view the film through these lenses. It will be a unique experience and will hopefully shape a new view for the film for me itself. The film itself follows Will, played by Matt Damon. Will is a gifted young man who's created an understanding of mathematics, but he has slowly sabotaged his life as he is forced to attend therapy sessions with Sean, who is played by Robin Williams. The session allows Will to understand himself better, see who he is, and see what he wants. Now, in using these lenses of film theory, I want to look at the characters as a whole and see how using these lenses will affect our own thoughts on them. These characters have depth, and it's what makes the film so intriguing. In using the male gaze itself, in using feminist film theory, and subsequently the male and female gaze themselves, I want to focus on the relationships Will has, and how his own thoughts and doubts in his mind affect his thought process and essentially restrict him from opening up more. On top of this, through the female gaze, I want to show how the outside perspective on will investigate his mental state while taking the process into account. Finally, through using the apparatus film theory, I want to take an inward look at how the film like this really affects the audience and how we view ourselves. I'd like to have an understanding on how, by watching this film, we may have a new perception on ideas like therapy or self-doubt, and look at how it will fully influence the audience. Good Will Hunting and feminist film theory and psychoanalytic film theory with apparatus theory. Good Will Hunting follows the story of Will Hunting, a young man from Boston played by Matt Damon. Will is gifted, he's smart for his age, but he's not doing anything with this gift. He's just arrogant, like a statue stuck in place. He'd rather waste his potential and just mess around with his buddies and go out starting fights and ending up in prison, or worse, the hospital. The boy's smart enough to act as his own attorney at his hearing in court at the start of the film, but he's too stubborn to admit he needs help and that he deserves the greatness that is presented to him.
In Good Will Hunting, we see Will himself slowly opening up as the film goes on. One of our first proper scenes of this is when his therapist Sean inadvertently makes a breakthrough. Will is sitting with Sean and talks about a girl he's met. Will talks about how he hasn't called her, and Sean tells him that he's too scared to do so because he doesn't want to learn that she isn't perfect. Will is being looked at through what is called the female gaze, which is a lens in the large catalogue of film psychoanalysis. Sean isn't talking to Will like how you would expect a man to do so. He isn't talking to him, he's just telling him to call her for the sake of it. He's explaining why he should call her and addressing his fears as a man and himself for why he himself won't do it at this moment. Sean knows that Will is afraid to do so because he's scared that she won't be how he imagined her in his mind. He's afraid that she won't be perfect, but Sean acknowledges this and tells Will that nobody's perfect. It's the imperfections we all have that we fall in love with and learn to see how compatible we are with our imperfections.
Oh, Christ. But Will, she's been dead 2 years, and that's the shit I remember. It's wonderful stuff, you know? Little things like that. Yeah, but those are the things I miss the most. The little idiosyncrasies that only I know about. That's what made her my wife. Boy, and she had the goods on me, too. She knew all my little peccadillos. People call these things imperfections, but they're not. Oh, that's the good stuff. And then we get to choose who we let into our weird little worlds. You're not perfect, sport. And let me save you the suspense. This girl you met, she isn't perfect either. But the question is whether or not you're perfect for each other. That's the whole deal. That's what intimacy is all about. Now, you can know everything in the world, sport, but the only way you're finding out that one is by giving it a shot. You certainly won't learn from an old fucker like me. Even if I did know, I wouldn't tell a pissant like you.
Next we have Will's breakdown. Not the final one with Sean, but his breakdown when he talks with Skylar. This is when Will's walls finally begin to break down and fall apart, but he's still trying to hold them up. Skylar starts the scene with pushing Will to allow her to be his brothers, but he shuts this down. She leaves and asks him to move away with her to college. He shuts this down also, and the argument ensues. The argument itself isn't about moving away though. It's about Will's determination to keep Skylar arm's length reach because he doesn't want her to get too close because he hates himself. He doesn't want to be happy. This is a form of psychotherapy known as self-loathing. But through this, we can see how Skylar is trying to break through his walls, and Will just snaps at her, telling her he doesn't need her help and he doesn't want it. He believes he doesn't deserve help or to be happy, a common trope which can be seen as self-loathing. Skylar is looking at Will through the female gaze, and she's trying to have him to open up to her, but he won't do it because he's too stubborn and he's too far in his own way.
Me, when you're the one that's afraid.
I'm afraid. What am I afraid of? What the fuck am I afraid of?
You're afraid of me. You're afraid that I won't love you back. You know what? I'm afraid too. Fuck it, I want to give it a shot, and at least I'm honest with you.
I'm not honest with you?
No, what about your 12 brothers? No, you're not going. You're not leaving.
What do you want to know? What? That I don't have 12 brothers?
Yeah.
That I'm a fucking orphan? No, you don't want to hear
I
that.
didn't know
No,
that.
you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that I
didn't know
got
it.
fucking cigarettes put out of me when I was a little kid.
I didn't know
That this isn't fucking surgery, that the motherfucker stabbed me. You don't want to hear that shit, Skylar. Don't tell me you want to hear that
I
shit.
want to hear it because I want to help you, because I want
Help
to be
me?
with
What the fuck? What do I got? A fucking sign on my back that says save me?
No.
Do I look like I need that?
No, God, I just want to be with
Don't
you because I
bullshit
love you.
Don't bullshit me.
I
Don't you
love you.
fucking bullshit me.
Another scene that comes to mind is Will's talk with Chucky, his best friend. These two are working at a construction site, and Chuck talks to Will about Skylar, and Will dismisses the notion of it, just bluntly saying that she's gone. Chuck doesn't push and asks him how his math gig is going along, and Will basically laughs at it as he says he doesn't care about it. At this point, Chuck lays it out for him. He tells Will that he needs to get out of the life that he's currently in, that he'd give anything to have what Will has. He's looking at Will through the female gaze perspective once more. He is still being open and vulnerable here, allowing Will not to have to feel like a stereotypical man. He talks to Will like how an older brother would. He lays it out to Will bluntly, not holding anything back. He's telling Will that he needs to do what a man should with the gifts that he has. He blatantly tells Will that if he knows he'll still be here in the area after 20 years, that he'd probably kill him for throwing away everything. He tells Will to fix things, and not for himself, but for Chuck, because he knows that he'd give anything to have what Will has.
Failed. Look, you're my best friend, so don't take this the wrong way. In 20 years, if you're still living here, coming over my house to watch the Patriots game, still working construction, I'll fucking kill you. That's not a threat.
What?
That's a fact. I'll fucking kill you.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Look, you got something none of us have.
Oh, come on. Why is it always this? I mean, I fucking owe it to myself to do this or that. What if I don't want to?
No, fuck you. You don't owe it to yourself. You owe it to me. Because tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I'll be 50. And I'll still be doing this shit. And that's all right. That's fine. I mean, you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket. You're too much of a pussy to cash it in. And that's bullshit. Because I'd do fucking anything to have what you got. So would any of these fucking guys. It'd be an insult to us if you're still here in 20 years. Hanging around here is a fucking waste of your time.
The next and final scene is Will's talk with Sean. We all know it. The breakdown of Will finally shedding his barriers as Sean continuously tells him that his childhood, his upbringing, was not his fault. He tells Will this once again, and Will is looking at Will through the female gaze lens. He's being told that it's okay to be scared, to admit that what happened to him wasn't his fault. He must understand that everything that happened to him was out of his control, and that he was just a child, but that he can move on. He can grow. He can be more than what he believes he is.
It's not your fault. Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
I know.
No, you don't. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
All right?
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean. Not you. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Now we need to wonder what a film like this may have ended up doing to its audience. A movie like this that promotes positive male mental health and pushes for men to be more open and more vulnerable needs to be talked about more. This film also sheds light on the idea of therapy in a new light that may push more men to go to therapy or to seek help and learn how to deal with the repressed trauma that they have gone through. The apparatus theory comes into play here, and we just need to wonder what that looks like and take a look at how this may affect men and their own thoughts. Quote, Will's interaction with various clinics highlights the importance of the therapeutic match, that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to mental health. Similar to any other relationship, therapy is centered on interpersonal alignment and works best when the person feels connected to the clinician. This is from Psychology Today in 2024, the unveiling the therapeutic journey of Good Will Hunting. The following sets and links are all used to websites that are within this essay, whether that be a video clip from the movie that I decided to watch. The other links are the ones that are used to investigate these topics of psychoanalysis and can be found within the other documents. Thank you very much for your time.
I love you. I want to hear you say that you don't love me. Because if you say that, then I won't call you. And I won't be in your life.
I don't love you.
Thanks. Fuck, that's good. So how's your lady?
Ah, she's gone.
Gone where?
Medical school in California.
Really?
Yeah.
When was this?
It's like a week ago.
Well, that sucks. So, when are you done with those meetings?
Like the week after I'm 21.
Yeah, they gonna hook you up with a job or what?
Yeah, fucking sit in a room and do long division for the next 50 years.
Yeah, probably make some nice bank, though.
I'm gonna be a fucking lab rat.
Better than this shit. Way out of here.
I want to way out of here for. I mean, I'm gonna fucking live here the rest of my life. You know, be neighbors, you know, we'll have little kids, fucking take them to Little League together up Foley. You don't know that.
I don't?
No, you don't know
No,
that.
I don't know that. Let me tell you what I do know. Every day I come by your house and I pick you up. We go out, we have a few drinks and a few laughs, and it's great. You know what the best part of my day is? It's for about 10 seconds from when I pull up to the curb and when I get to your door. Because I think maybe I'll get up there and I'll knock on the door and you won't be there. No goodbye, no see you later, no nothing. You just left. I don't know much, but I know that.